Hey guys, today I want to show you how make or buy decisions works. So it's from the Introduction to Operations Management by Schickel. At first, what is make or buy? It's the decision if a product should be bought or produced. And there are two types of criteria. So first would be the cost aspect, the buy versus make. So would buying be cheaper or making? And second, then we have other factors, but we'll come to that later. So at first, I want to introduce you into the cost topic. For example, a company can buy a product for $7 or make it. If the product is manufactured, the company has to cover 18,000 fixed costs and variable costs per unit of $4. So therefore, the cost function of buying would be CB equals 7x because $7 per unit. And the cost function of making would be CM equals 4x plus 18,000. The 4x is the variable cost per unit and the 18,000 is the fixed cost. And to find out what the critical quantity is and thus where the costs of buying and making are equal, we have to set CB equal to CM. And therefore we take 7x equals 4x plus 18,000 and then we subtract 4x. Then we've got 3x equals 18,000 and we divide it by 3. And then x equals 6,000. So when we need 6,000 units, it doesn't matter if we buy or make it on our own because the costs are the same. And then we put the 6,000 into the 7x or into the 4x plus 18,000 and we get $42. So this is basically where buying would be $42,000, but also making it on our own would also be 42,000. And I also illustrated this in a graph. And as you can see where the two lines intersect, this is the point where the cost of making equals the cost of buying. And above is it is cheaper to make it and below it's cheaper to buy it. So now we come to the second part. Other important factors to consider for make would be the cost criterion. If you make it on your own, then it might be cheaper because if you want to have like 50,000 parts, making would be way cheaper than buying due to the fact that the variable cost is way lower than the cost of the buying. And you also have better quality control. You can go into your production facilities and look if the production is going all right and control it, and if not, you can adapt it, that it is up to the standard you want it to be. You also do not have to rely on your suppliers in case, in fact, they may be unreliable, and you do not have to rely on them no longer. Probably your quantity you want to have is also too little to interest the supplier. For example, you say, okay, we want to have 5 pullovers, but they say, okay, we just sell the pullovers if you order more than 20. Then you could say, okay, we will produce them on our own. Another important aspect is the design secrecy to protect the technological ownership. If you are a manufacturer of phones like Apple is, then you could say, okay, we do not want Samsung to produce our phones, and therefore you produce them on your own to keep the phones and the design of the phones and the technique secret. And the last aspect is political, environmental, and social reasons. Political would be Donald Trump has a trade war with China and therefore he wants to raise the tariffs. Thus, producing in the USA will be cheaper than importing from from China because of the tariffs, the trade tariffs. Furthermore, the environmental reasons could be that you say, okay, the iPhones are produced in China and you as the company producing these phones says, okay, we want to produce them environmentally friendly with renewable energy or whatever that is. Then you could say, okay, we'll produce them on our own. Or probably you can also say you do not want to get rid of the workers and therefore you produce everything on your own. But there are also some advantages of the buy side, which would be the costs at first. If you have 1,000 parts to buy, as we calculated already, then it would be way cheaper to buy these parts. Furthermore, the supplier's specialized know-how and research are better than that of the buyer. If you are a great company and need phones for your employees, then you might say, well, we want to have 1,000 phones, but we do not have the capacity to develop a phone on our own, and therefore you will buy them. This is also kind of a lack of expertise that you do have. Also, when you only need a small volume, it might not be compatible if you say you produce them at home. If you produce them on your own. In addition to that, you may also have the wish to sustain a multiple source policy. And it could also be the case that the item is not necessary to the firm's strategy. If it's just pens, whatever. And the last one would be if your inventory and procurement considerations are too low. Basically, you do not have enough stock shelves to keep all the things on stock. You say, okay, we buy 50 things a week and do not produce anything. Let's come to an assignment. A company can either buy a product for the price of $80 or they can make it. If they decide to make it, the fixed costs amount to $150,000 and the variable cost per part is $60. The supplier grants a quantity of a discount of $10 for every product bought exceeding the quantity of 10,000. First, please calculate the critical quantity if the company needs less than 10,000 products. Second, calculate the critical quantity if the company needs more than 10,000 products. And third one, please plot your results in a diagram. This is how you do it. So first, the cost of buying would be 80 times X because 80 is the price per part. And the cost of making would be the fixed cost of 150,000 plus the variable cost of 60 per part times X. And then you set them equal, which would be 80x equals 150,000 plus 60x. Then you subtract 60x and you get 20x equals 150,000 divided by 20. So x equals 7,500. And at the units of 7,500, the costs of buying and making would both be 600,000. This is the part where both is equal, as I said already. And if you do have a capacity greater than 10,000, then you get a discount per part of 10. So the price would now be 70x, and this is how the function changes. It's now 70x, but the cost of making stays the same. So 70x equals 150,000 plus 60x minus 60x, and 10x equals 150,000 divided by 10. So x would be 15,000, and this means that at a capacity of 15,000 units, you break even. So the costs of buying and making is both 1,050,000. And as you can see in the diagram, I drew two graphs. And at 10,000 units, you see there is a line going up because this is the part where the $10 discount is granted. And below you see that there is cost of making equals cost of buying break-even point 1. And below the 7,500 units, the buying would be cheaper, and above until it reaches 10,000 units, making would be cheaper. And there it changes again from 10,000 to 15,000. The buying would be cheaper again, and above, making will always be the cheaper alternative. Thank you for watching, and I put the email address to directly order the books in the description. See you next time.